It's January. We're heading into our touring season. So what are our plans? Where are we going? And what adventures do we have in store for the Tracker Travels? So I've come across today just to have a little look, see that all is in good order, what needs to be done before we go, and that we've survived the storms. So here we are. This has been the first time we've visited for a couple of weeks, and I'm just going to have a little look around. Make sure there is no damage. Doesn't look to be. Can't see that anything has blown off the sides. And all is good at the back. So that quick visual check all the way around. Looks like we've not lost anything or sustained any damage in those winds. Just going to do the double check inside now, make sure that's the case with the roof. And I also want to do a little check inside for those devils of mice. I just want to do another double check to make sure those measures we put in a few weeks back are doing their job. Let's go. So inside we come, and you can see I'd left all this stuff here from our last trip. This was the wire wool and the peppermint spray that we use for preventing the mice getting back in. So I'm now going to have a little look and check and see that they're not where they were. No signs of any drop-ins at the back of the motorhome. The wind hasn't done any damage to the hecky, that's all intact. No signs of any damage there. Windows are all secure. No sign of any water. Hecky is all intact in the bathroom. And no signs of mice in this bit either. Phew. And visually there's no sign of any drop-ins. Just check these dog beds. Can't see any particular signs that they've got in through here this time. No drop-ins on the dashboard. Maybe it's worked. So this is where they got in under one of the seats before, and you can see, look, he chewed around the Cromer heating pipe, so we were full of sawdust down here when we last inspected it. No signs there. I'm now going to lift up this box because we found that there is a vent underneath here where the second battery is, just to double check that they're not down there. Okay, so now that box is out, there's no sign of mice down here. Can't see any drop-ins this time. Fingers crossed we've done the job. So there are no signs of mice, so that is a big relief in getting ready for our next trip. The other thing we've done whilst we've not been using it, if you're not aware with these things, we do have a drop-down bed in this motorhome, and what we have been careful of is making sure that when we're not using it for weeks at a time, we do pop this down just to let the air vent in this space. So actually that's keeping the mattress nice and dry. We've got no damp patches or marks on the ceiling just up here. So for us, that's doing the trick and working well. Mainly just take this bedding home. I didn't do that last trip, so that might just need a refresh before we go. But we did, you'll see, leave all the cupboard doors open just for ventilation, because I think this is the longest period we've gone without a trip. It'll be almost six weeks, I think, 6-7 weeks between trips. So looking forward to getting out and about again, but good to know that all's intact and safe and secure. Checks have been done, we've survived the storms, and we seem to have stopped the mice. So all is good with the vehicle. We'll do more checks, we'll do the tyres, the oil, the water checks before we set off on our first trip in February. So what are we up to next? So if you follow our Instagram, you'll see that we've been popping some of our bookings on there, giving a hint of what we will be up to through the spring. But we do have a few trips planned. We are heading off to Aldeburgh, Suffolk. That's going to be our Easter trip. We're doing that with friends. We're staying on an independent site down at Church Farm, just on the edge of Aldeburgh there, which we're very much looking forward to. In a couple of weeks' time, we've got the February half term, so we're going to take the opportunity to get a few days away rather than just the weekend, and we're heading off to York. Now, we have booked the Beechwood site because with the weather that we have been having, we weren't sure whether the Caravan and Motorhome Club site in York itself at Roundtree would still be suffering with the flooding. At the time of doing this video, the flood waters had been up again, so we didn't want to risk anything with that one. So we have booked in at Beechwood Grange. We'll take the little toad with us so we can get out and about. And we've got some little trips planned and booked already for our time up in York. Particularly because some of the attractions around York itself aren't dog friendly. We wanted to make sure we'd got things planned in where they were. So look out for that trip. And then our biggie will be in May. We're heading off to France. So for May half term, we shall be taking a trip down the west coast of France. We're going to try and go a bit further down this time. So I think what we might do is kind of tank our way down, get ourselves down onto the coast, stop at a few sites before we head back. That will only be an 8-day trip. It is half term, but the Eurotunnel, the shuttle is booked. We've got Black Horse Farm booked, and we've also got the overnight stay for coming back at Queen's booked as well. So quite looking forward to that little trip. We haven't booked the sites in between. Now that's a bit radical for us. Normally we like everything fully booked up, so at the moment we're planning to get a nice big campsite booked for a good stay while we're down there, and then we're just seeing what we want to do with the rest. So we'll keep you posted what the plan is for May. And there are some smaller trips booked as well. A few weekends here and there, local trips, the usual haunts that we like to do, and we'll keep you posted on those as we go. Some of those we book at a later time, but we're very much looking forward to getting back out and about on the road again in 2 weeks' time, which can't come soon enough. So any other news from us? Well, in our previous video you'll have seen that the tow car went through its MOT, no problems. Its little service is fine. We've had the door handle replaced, so that makes life a little bit easier getting in and out of the car, and that's all good to go. So we are going to run with that for the next 12 months. I think that is the decision, and then we'll evaluate again in the autumn on whether we choose to keep that or not going forward. I think part of that decision for us is going to be about what we do with this motorhome. So when we get to June, we'll have had this one 2 years. The plan was always going to be 3 or 4 years with this particular one, depending on how we get on with it. And I think the decision about whether we need the towing ability will determine what we start looking for in the next motorhome, because we are mixing up the sites we use now, so we're not totally reliant on perhaps more remote, which some of the Caravan and Motorhome Club sites are, and the same with the Camping and Caravanning Club too. It's whether we want a slightly smaller vehicle that enables us to have days out with the vehicle, or whether we want to stick with the model of having the tow car that comes. So this year will be the decider, I guess. and we'll see how we go. So there we are, a few trips planned. Motorhome will give a good clean and a spruce up ahead of our next trip, and I'll keep you posted with what we do with that. But for now, not long, next trip coming soon, and we'll update you as we go. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.